Hey, what's up everybody, how's it going? It's Burke, aka Dansg08 here, and I want to do a quick little hangout video for you guys to let you guys know what's been happening lately and to give you guys some information about the whole Patreon thing that I asked you guys about in the last hangout. So let's get straight to it. Right, so the first topic of conversation is Final Fantasy XIII and Heavy Rain, and I wanted to make sure that it was known on the channel because I've mentioned it on Twitter and Facebook, but not everyone on the channel might know. I've completed both of those, everything's done and dusted. Final Fantasy XIII, that includes all of the 64 Seed Stone missions and the super bosses as well. So everything is wrapped, recorded, edited, rendered, it's all ready to go. For the main story, we're talking 83 parts, so I have about 18 more to upload, so there's not too long to go before the main story is complete. And outside of that, there's the whole post-game thing, which is a little longer. So we're probably going to push over 100 for Final Fantasy XIII, but at least I've got them all ready now, so I'm going to try to keep them kind of uploading at a steady pace as best as I can. So that's fine. If you guys have been enjoying that playlist, there's still quite a bit more to come, but it has been finished. Heavy Rain also completed, much shorter game, I think. In total it was like 18 parts, so I think it's about 8 hours, 9 hours, something like that. So much more manageable as a playlist, and I'm about halfway through that, and I've voiced that I'm a little bit unimpressed with the views on that one because, you know, this is like the home of cinematic gaming, and this is like about as cinematic as gaming gets, and not too many people have been interested in it, which has been a little bit disappointing because I kind of feel like I've kind of trapped myself into this Final Fantasy X thing, because unless it's called Final Fantasy, most people tend not to watch it. So it's a little bit annoying, but it's something that we've got to work with. At least the people that have been watching it have been enjoying it. And seriously, it's a really cool game. I would advise, if you haven't seen it, do check it out. It's a cool playlist, it's a cool game, it's worth seeing. I'm not just saying that because the views are low. Even if the views are really good, I would have said, if you haven't seen it yet, see it, because, you know, compared to the other stuff on the channel, it's a little bit different. I mean, I upload a lot of cinematic games, but there's like a whole other level of cinematicness. So yeah, I would check it out. It's a cool game, but just know that that's finished as well. And this means that we should be moving on to Final Fantasy IX. Now, normally the plan is once the final part of Heavy Rain is done, I would have just started Final Fantasy IX straight away. But as you guys know, there's this whole problem with Steam where it's just like it was supposed to come in early 2016. Then they said February, then they said March, and it's just like it's coming to the end of March. Where is this game? There's still no release date, so it's just like I don't know what I'm doing with it. So I feel like if I was to kind of just carry on my original playthrough, I'd get to like part 10 or something, and then they'd be like, oh yeah, the Steam version comes out tomorrow, and I'd be really annoyed because I hear that it's going to be quite an enhanced version compared to what's available on the PS1 and the PS1 emulators and all that kind of stuff. So Final Fantasy IX is on hold for now until I get more information about when it's actually coming out. So this means that because Final Fantasy IX is on hold and the two series that I was recording are both completed, I now have nothing to record, which is an interesting situation for me because it doesn't happen very often. So on the one hand, this is cool because like the past few months I spent more time on YouTube than I have in ages, probably since I was doing it full time, which is cool for you guys because I've got to upload a lot of content, but I've kind of been a little bit burnt out. I haven't been burnt out from YouTube for a while, and this is one of those times. So it's already been about a week since I stopped recording in general. So there's going to come a time, like next week or maybe the week after, where I'm like, I need to start recording again when I have free time. So when that happens, there's two games that could be recorded next. It's either Metal Gear Solid Portable Ops for completeness on the playlist, and I feel like I didn't give it enough of a chance, and some stuff happened in Metal Gear Solid 5 where I was like, damn, I kind of need to fill in this little chunk of time to find out what happened. So I might be playing Portable Ops for the first time, just so you guys can see that as well. I found a nice PC emulator of the PSP, and it looks really nice, plays fairly well. It's only like 20 FPS or something, which is a bit weird, but I'll get used to it. So there's that, and the other option is Tomb Raider. Now, what will decide between the two? I'd like to do Tomb Raider, but I don't own a copy of the game. So I got a review code, but things happened. For some reason, the code wouldn't activate. I couldn't get a second one, etc, etc. Now, with Tomb Raider, I will buy the game, but I'm thinking that maybe my current graphics card is not really up to scratch. So in terms of recording it at a really nice quality and getting really smooth frame rates, I might start struggling with Tomb Raider. So that might be a reason why I might postpone that. And it's not like, you know, the hype of Tomb Raider has very much died down. So I think it's going to be much like Heavy Rain, where, you know, in the first 24 hours I might get 200-300 people at best watching it. So yeah, you know, for me, it's not a massive thing. I do definitely want to play it. It's something that I'm interested in, but I'll see how it goes. I'll see how I'm feeling like next week or the week after, if there's no news from Final Fantasy IX, of course. So Final Fantasy IX obviously has the priority, but if it turns out that it's going to drag on, it's not going to be around for like another 6 weeks, 2 months, 3 months, I don't know, then I will move on to something else, because I don't want to, like, when I do have free time, it's quite a stressful life out here, out in Turkey. You know, it's a stressful industry. It's a pretty stressful country right now. If you've been watching the news, you'll know. So, you know, when I do get some free time, it's nice to kind of kick back, forget about reality for a bit and lose myself in some games. So recording is always something that I have time for. Even when I'm busy, I'll try to create some time so that I can record some new content. So that's that side of things. So Final Fantasy XIII and Heavy Rain to come. Heavy Rain will be finished soon because there's only about 9 parts to go. And once that's done, we might do Portable Ops or Tomb Raider. We'll have to see. And Final Fantasy IX in the meantime. So that's that stuff. Now onto the Patreon stuff, which is always kind of awkward for me to talk about. So this is the only video that I'm ever going to make about the Patreon thing. It's literally going to be, I now have a Patreon. There's a page that you can check out, the link in the description. I've written like a really long explanation of like my history and, you know, things, what I've done with the channel, you know, the kind of content that I've put out, why I've started this Patreon, you know, how could it benefit my channel, just aside from pure, you know, numbers, you know, monetary numbers, what I expect from the Patreon experience and all that kind of thing. I've made sure I've written it in long detail, because if there's something that I'm guilty of doing, is kind of writing really long descriptions and explanations of stuff. And the reason I do this is coming from a good place, because I want to make sure that everyone is aware of everything that I can possibly explain to them. So any questions that you might have had about it, I try to preemptively talk about and answer, just so that I'm like as open and honest as possible about the whole thing. So that's why my Patreon description is going to be like freaking long. But if you guys have followed the channel, then you're going to know 98% of it anyway, so you probably won't need to read it. But I'm going to tell you the main kind of takeaway from the whole Patreon thing is, one, it's not going to create a paywall. This is one thing that I wanted to make sure, like, this was like a strict like no for me. I didn't want to create a situation where you have to pay to get exclusive content. You know, my channel since day one, it's always just been me uploading to YouTube. Whoever comes across it on YouTube watches it, whether they're a subscriber or not, doesn't really make a difference. So that's not going to change. Every video I've ever uploaded till today is going to be there. Every video I ever will upload will all be there, and it will be accessible to everyone, whether you're a patron or not. So that's one thing that I wanted to make sure was the case. So another thing is the whole kind of reward system. If you guys know about Patreon, the kind of deal with Patreon is that you pledge something and you get something in return most of the time. You know, there are some Patreons that are kind of run by, this is just a tip jar, you know, you just support me and I'm not going to do anything different. I didn't want to make it that extreme. I felt like I should offer at least something, because despite, you know, people were really cool, like in the previous Hangout, a lot of people would say some really nice things, which I was quite humbled by. A lot of people were kind of, they made it sound like, look, we'll just support you anyway, we don't really need anything in return, which was kind of really cool. But I wanted to try and at least offer something. So there are some small little perks on there, but I didn't want to do anything like, people gave me some really good suggestions like t-shirts and cinemagraphs and all that kind of stuff, but I already have like a cinemagraph thing, like, you know, a video where I've spent hours and hours making some cool cinemagraphs. So I don't know, like, feeling like as a reward, that felt a bit weird, like, you know, pay me some money and I'll make you a cinemagraph. Just like, what? You know, that person could just post it online and everyone else could get it. So that one felt a little bit odd, even though it was cool at first. But things like merchandise, I'm not so sure about, because I already have a t-shirt page on the channel, but no one really cares about that. So that didn't go too well anyway. But someone said you could maybe design t-shirts for someone. So if you pledge like quite a high amount, then I'll design you a t-shirt. But then I thought, this is something that might create more problems, because if somehow I end up getting more than I would have expected, so maybe there's like 3 people that end up, you know, pledging to that level, then that's something that I can kind of keep up with, and it's something that I can actually provide for them. But I didn't want things to get out of hand. If I make promises that are too big, then that's going to be something that I'm going to start to get stressed about, trying to make sure that I can, you know, make good on. So I wanted to keep the rewards simple, because at the end of the day, you guys are here because you like watching the videos, and that's something that I want to continue doing. So I didn't want to get crazy with the rewards or anything like that. I'm just one guy You know, I don't live in the same country as pretty much all of you guys, so you know, posting stuff is a pain in the ass and all this kind of thing. So I didn't really want to get to the stage where it was going to be a problem and people were going to be like, oh, you know, I pledged this money and I didn't get my reward. What's going to happen now? I want my money back. It's just like, oh man, it's really like something that I don't want to deal with. So the rewards are fairly simple. The top tier reward, I think, is something that's quite cool. Even like the top tier is not like anything special. I mean, there's channels that have like a $250 a month top tier, which is just ridiculous. But yeah, my top tier is nowhere near that. So I didn't want to make it like a massive hierarchy of lots of different tiers. It's just very simple, easy to follow. Just kind of pick whichever one you want if you're interested and go for it really. So yeah, I'm not going to mention anything more about it. It's not going to be me ramming this down your throats all the time at the end of every single video. Yay, you know, go to my Patreon page and support me, you know, kind of thing. I don't want to bore you guys with that. I've made my announcement. I'll probably have links, like, you know, in future videos, just like a quick link in the description to direct newcomers to it. I'll have the button on the page and all that kind of thing. But this is like the one-time kind of Patreon announcement, and hopefully, because it's going to mostly appeal to people that are watching this video anyway, that should be all that I need, because it's, like I say, for me, it's quite an awkward thing to talk about, because no matter which way you spin it, it's just like you're asking people for money. So it's a little bit of a weird situation, but this is the age that we live in, people. You know, it's a weird old place, and if there's people that I've managed to provide enough good content for that they feel they have the ability to support above and beyond just, you know, watching and, you know, liking and commenting, then that's wonderful. That's really cool. So yeah, that's it. I now have a Patreon page. If you're interested in it, check it out. If you're not, then it's normal business as usual. Nothing's going to change. So yeah, that's pretty much it. Thank you all for watching, and I will hopefully see you guys again soon. I will keep you updated on any interesting work stuff that happens. Like I said, there's something that's very interesting coming up, but that's one of those things that's still up in the air right now, so it's not certain if it's going to happen. But if it does, you guys will be the first to know. So thank you all for watching. I will see you guys soon. Take care.